Welcome to The Sporting Chance. This podcast is brought to you by Midnight Falconry, makers of high-quality falconry leashes and jesses. Check them out at midnightfalconry.com. Ashley Clark Falconry, the highest quality leather falconry equipment, handmade in England, built to last and looks damn good while you're at it. Check them out at aclarkfalconry.co.uk. Be sure and use the code SportingChance10 at checkout. North Mountain Goshawks. Seth Roy is breeding high-quality, true parent-reared goshawks in addition to imprint goshawks on order. Check him out at northmountaingoshawks.com.
So welcome, everybody, to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
And we're here today to talk to you about wieners.
We are here to talk about multiple wieners, different colors, different sizes. And we'll keep it PG-13, but it should be a lot of fun.
I don't know about PG-13, but we'll see what happens.
You never know.
What have you been up to since we last recorded?
Taking care of my birds, making sure the chambers are all clean. You know, during hawking season, it gets pretty chaotic, so I sometimes don't have time to get out there and really clean stuff out. So I kind of been cleaning, and I put sticks in with the albatus to try to see if she'll maybe build a nest or something, but she's just insistent on attacking me. And I am...
That's the first step, right?
Yeah, in any good marriage, a couple attacks during your copulation attempts, then everything goes smoothly after that. So...
we hope so.
We hope so, yeah. Every man's dream. Yeah, there's that. And then I'm actually watching someone's bird that needed me to watch it, so I had to pick that up after work the other day. So I have a peregrine in one of my weathering areas.
A peregrine?
A tiercel peregrine, yeah.
Has it ever hunted? No. The answer is no.
Well, yeah, it's a passage peregrine.
Oh, so it hunted before somebody trapped it.
Yes, it hunted before. It's a tiercel, yeah.
That's always been the two areas of falconry that I haven't done is micros and long wings.
I've dabbled a little, but I don't have that much experience myself to really speak too much on it.
Unless you count a Cooper's hawk as a micro, which I don't.
I think you can count that. I mean, you got to pay close attention to the weight, and it is a was it a tiercel or a female?
It was a female.
That's borderline. I would say anything under 400 grams is a micro. What do you think?
Yeah, I was never concerned with killing it. When I think about micros, that's what I'm thinking of is a bird that this is a meal and dies.
Yeah.
I know a guy who had a sharp-shinned hawk, and he threw some food to it, and the food was out of reach from the hawk, and he didn't realize it, and the hawk starved to death after one missed meal. He was feeding it a few times a day.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's got to burn.
Yeah, it would suck, that's for sure. That's why I want to breed sharp-shinned hawks, so I have... them on reservoir, have them on tap.
That's a great way. You're good with words, man. You got some good sayings down by you.
Yeah, that's something we do in the South, I think, right?
Yeah, you guys are good with your words down there. You really know how to weave a sentence.
We know how to spin a yarn.
Oh, dude, that's what my brain was trying to think of, and I couldn't remember that saying. Like I was saying, you guys are good with your words down there.
Speaking of that stuff, I sold 2 puppies today. Well, they were sold a while ago, but a fella named Justin came down from Massachusetts to pick them up. He was down here just for a brief while today, but...
Yeah, I know Justin. We talk, never met him in person, but we talk on social media. He's super gung-ho. I think he's in his second year apprenticeship right now, right? Is that what he told you?
He finished it up.
He finished it up. So yeah, so now he's moving on. I think he was possibly thinking about getting a goshawk, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he said he's on the list for an imprint.
An imprint from Seth?
We talked about so much that I got off subject real quick and didn't catch where it was coming from.
Yeah, he was picking my brain a little bit. He was talking about getting a tiercel, and I kind of was trying to push him to get a female because he kills a lot of squirrels. So, I mean, the female's just better on slave. It's a no-brainer. Just get a female. A female of any subspecies, you'll be good.
Yeah, I guess it's the temptation of saving $1,000 is gets people.
Dude, I made the same mistake myself. The first goshawk I ever bought was a Tiercel fin. And I was told by the breeder I would catch anything under the sun. And I was scared of rabbits. Granted, I didn't have very good skills yet at that point, so I didn't catch any fur with it, but I caught a couple ducks with it, bunch of ducks, and that's all.
You say a bunch? How many?
Bunch, like 12.
Okay, well that's more ducks than I've ever caught.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And when I tell you I put 250 slips in front of that bird, I put easily 250 slips in front of that bird.
Wonder what the problem was.
The problem was I didn't know what I was doing, and he was 700 grams, 680. Between 680 and 700 he flew. For whatever reason, he'd always grab that drake, man. He'd always grab that drake mallard and get the living piss whipped out of him. And then after that, he would just chase him around and touch him. Like I had so many videos on my phone. I had no storage left of him just the most money slips you could possibly imagine. And he'd just fly out and just touch them and then fly and land in a tree. You know, it was beyond frustrating. And I did a bunch of baggies with him. He'd kill baggies. I think that was part of the problem is I was following the McDermott book, not to get off subject, but I was following the McDermott book. I was doing like quail baggies like every single day.
He knew how to kill quail baggies.
Yeah, it ruined the bird, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just 100% ruined the bird. He didn't want anything to do with anything wild, just baggies. And even if he knew it was a baggie, like if I got a duck from Phil or somebody I knew that they kept alive, allegedly, and he saw me setting it up and he anyway thought that it was a baggie, he'd fly it down to the end of the sun and catch it. No problem. Literally, it was hilarious. But if it was a wild slip, it was like 1 out of every 60 slips he'd catch one. It was terrible.
It sounds like he wasn't doing much better than my great horned owl.
Yeah, I might as well just got a great horned owl at that point. Yeah.
There was actually one night where I was, one late evening, well before dark. Was not dark.
Of course.
I was out with my owl, walked up on this little like mud puddle and ducks flushed up off of it. I was holding his jesses like an idiot and just, didn't expect there to be ducks, where we were. And I fully believe that if I wasn't holding his jesses, I would have had a duck.
Probably.
How incredible would that have been?
It would have been legendary.
Yeah. But
especially during the daylight.
Oh yeah. During the day. Yeah. So anyways, let's transition over to wieners.
Let's do it.
Today when Justin picked up his pups, I happened to have a heart trap with a rat in it. So I was breeding quail in a little quail barn several years ago. And anytime you have poultry, you're going to draw rats.
Yeah.
That's what I've found, at least. And there's really nothing. I'm not breeding quail anymore. I don't feed the dogs outside. They all eat inside. So there's really nothing for them to eat. And as many as I've killed, I have never been able to eliminate those rats. There's always rats to some degree. Now, we're not infested with them, but they're around, right?
Yeah.
So I always keep have-a-heart traps set in the areas where I expect to see rats. I catch rats on a semi-regular basis in those. So, and I always let the dogs kill them when I trap them.
They love that.
They love it. And I've always got new dogs coming up, so it's good practice for them.
That's fun. Yeah. Now, question for you, because I saw your post on your page. Did he bought 2 dogs? So he's going to start off with 2 dogs?
A friend of his bought one, and he's transporting it up there for him.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's a lot of work to try to make 2 dogs.
Yeah, I wouldn't have sold a new dachshund person 2 dogs at the same time. But
yeah.
So he had never really seen a dachshund work. And when he got here, I said, "You want to kill a rat?" He was like, "Yeah, let's do it, man." I just took 2 old pros, actually the mom and dad of the pups that he was getting, and released the rat. And the rat actually got underneath a vehicle, which thank God I used them instead of the pups to kill the rat. they just went under the car and you hear the rat squeaking, and that was that. He was stoked.
That's awesome.
He said he wants to rat. He can't wait to rat.
We'll tell him to put the dog on rabbits first, and then you can rat later.
Yeah, I'm not of the opinion that ruins a dachshund.
Yeah, I don't think it ruins them. It's just,
and I don't think they will ever choose a rat over a rabbit.
No, it's definitely not in the field. No, I can't see that happen.
I do scent drags with the dachshunds initially. And when we say scent drags, to anyone who's not acquainted with that, is we'll take a rabbit that our hawks have caught the previous season, and we'll tie a string to it, and we'll drag it around the yard. And we start off in small, I guess intervals would be the right way to say it, maybe like 4 feet for a puppy, and just drag it around a corner and let the puppy get the scent and follow the scent around the corner and find the rabbit, and then let them chew on the rabbit. And then you can increase the distance. Eventually you let them find the rabbit, and then you take the puppy away, and then you drag the rabbit from where the puppy found it to another spot. So the puppy learns to follow a scent from point A to point B, and they learn that rabbits do move.
Yeah, that's great. That's what I do too.
Yeah. So once we've done that and they get the game down pat, then I start introducing young rats and mice and things like that. In my opinion, it really helps to increase the prey drive that they have.
Yeah, I've never done that where I let the young ones kill like rats and mice, but I always try to get like a small, you try to get a small rabbit.
Here we go.
Let the dog.
I heard the hesitation.
I know. I mean, listen, we're talking about training working dogs for hunting, and at a certain point, you have to just talk about what you're supposed to do. And what you're supposed to do is, as other good breeders would say, and guys that run good dogs, is you want them to get a prey drive. I mean, depending on the breed, obviously, but we're talking about dachshunds today. So you want it to be semi-predatory, or not semi-predatory, but you want it to be a predatory thing for them. So you want them to have confidence, and you want them to be trying to get that rabbit, not so that when they find it, they bay it, but when they find it, they want to kill it. And I guess if you're going after pigs or like bears or something like that with like different kinds of hounds, you would probably want them to bay it and not necessarily engage with it. You know what I mean? I guess, unless, you know what I mean? Because usually most hounds, they bay up a pig and then they put a catch dog in, something that has more prey drive to actually grab it and hold on to it so that somebody can kill it, right? If I'm saying that correctly. So
yeah, so they'll have the hounds that run the pig and scent the pig, and then they'll have the catch dogs that come in and grab it.
Yeah. Now, have you ever gone on a hunt like that before, or done anything like that?
No, I haven't. I'd love to, though.
You got pigs down there, though, don't you?
Oh, yeah, man. We got tons of them.
See, I'd have to get into that a little bit.
We don't really have them where I live. Like, actually, I've never seen signs of a pig where I live, but if you drive like an hour or 2 hours away, then you can find pigs.
It's not going to be long until they're right in your backyard.
Yeah. I was thinking earlier, one of my dreams is to own a crocodile. And
what kind?
I want a man-eating crocodile. I want like a Nile crocodile, a saltwater crocodile.
A Cuban croc would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool too. But I want a big bastard that gets like 20 feet long, you know.
What the hell are you going to do with it?
Feed it pigs. That's why I brought up crocodiles. If I had a crocodile, because you see the guys in Australia, I guess they can have saltwater crocodiles as pets in Australia. They're always feeding them pig legs. So they've got a big wild boar problem. So they probably just go out and shoot wild boars and just, chop them up and feed them to their crocs.
Dang, that would be cool until you fall in.
Yeah. It'd be better than it'd be a warrior's death, we'll put it that way.
That's like the last, like that, and I'm like terrified of sharks, so like a crocodile or a shark would be like the worst way to die. Just getting torn apart in the water.
Yeah.
It's like
you'd probably die of shock or drown first.
Dude, I would honestly try to kill myself first before I let them come. I'm dead serious.
Oh man.
Bro, I go into my waist, bro, at the beach, and then after that, I just like I'm looking at the water, bro, like just looking. Like,
Well, everybody knows most shark attacks happen at what, knee deep water, right?
I know, and that's why I don't even like I live within an hour, like an hour and a half of the beach, and I don't even have any. I have zero desire to go, zero.
I get bored at the beach, but I'm fascinated with the big predators. Speaking of predators, dachshunds, right? So,
Yeah,
so to your point, you want dachshunds to want to kill what they're chasing. And they do
Yes.
kill what they're chasing on occasion. You and I, this past season, we both have dogs that killed several head of game,
Yeah,
without the hawk. I'll never forget early season when I was still working on my goshawk and we didn't have too many kills under the belt. The dogs go into a stand of brush and I hear a rabbit squealing and my goshawk is sitting in a tree. And I was like, oh, wow, the dog's got one. That's cool, but I'd rather the bird get it. And just as I'm thinking that, another rabbit flushes out and she nails it. So
oh my God, that's
I've got dogs killing a rabbit in the brush, and I have the goshawk killing a rabbit a few feet from me. It was absolutely crazy. I've never had that happen.
and it's your one male dog, right? What's his name?
Atticus.
Atticus. Yeah, he's the one that's always catching them. Dude, I don't know how our dogs catch them because it's not like they're running them down. That rabbit must be holding tight or something, or makes the wrong turn and gets caught up for a second. They just grab it.
I have no idea how they do it. I've never seen them catch one. It's always we're out in the field. I hear a rabbit squealing, and then I realize my hawk is sitting, on a perch. So it's not the hawk, it's the freaking dogs, and it's usually him. Anytime a rabbit gets caught in the field, it's always him. So there's just something about him. It's like he's a sneaky bastard and just, he has a way of doing it. I don't know how.
Yeah, I had a very similar situation this year, and it was the first time that this has ever happened to me. And so we flushed a rabbit at my feet. I actually have it all on film. It's not like the most entertaining footage, but I have it all on film. Ginger's working another rabbit, and I'm trying to cut it off, get myself in position to try to get it to flush out in the open. So I'm trying to work into a position where I'm blocking it based off of Ginger's opening to try to separate. So as I'm walking, I step and a rabbit flushes at my feet, runs right towards my bird. My bird does some super ridiculous aerial thing and misses it, then chases it on the ground, tail chasing it, and then crashes into a brush pile. And I'm dead serious, right as it crashes into the brush pile, I just hear squealing. So I start running towards the bird. And then I realize the squealing is coming from over my shoulder. And then I'm looking at the bird, and then the bird jumps back up on a branch, and I keep hearing the squealing. So I turn around and I follow it. And Ginger's got one in the open snow, on the ground. And she's just mauling it. I couldn't believe it. It was the craziest thing.
Does that piss you off when that happens?
Not at all. No, not at all. I love it. I love it. I love when the dog gets one. I love it.
I remember when I sent Teddy Moritz, who is, those of you who don't know, she's the originator in America of the hunting dachshund, especially the miniature dachshund. She is, and she's still very much active. I remember sending her a video of the dogs mauling a squirrel on the ground because the bird knocked it out of the tree and the dogs were there and they grabbed it. I'll never forget, she said they need to get their teeth on game every now and then too.
Yeah. That's a saying that would come from Teddy. Yeah. And it's true, man. It's true. It's nice when the dog, because they're out there with us every day, working their little feet nonstop, trying to find game. And then if you have a young bird, right, and you're trying to get it going and the dog is killing them all the time, it's that would get a little annoying. But if you're on fire and you're having a good season, everything's going great, and your dog nails one here and there, I'm super pumped about it. I think it's great.
How do you feel about when a dog runs in and ruins it?
The dog the dog is going to either learn its lesson from the bird or from me.
So when I say the dog runs in and ruins it, the bird catches a rabbit, and then the dog runs in and either scares the bird off, or maybe the bird decides to attack the dog out of defense, and then the rabbit runs away. That to me is about the worst possible thing that can happen in the field, short of somebody dying.
Yeah. Do you have that problem with your dogs?
I don't have that problem. The goshawk especially has educated the dogs very well and reminded them what the pecking order is.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't respect them in any way, shape, or form. And if they cross the line, she will absolutely whip their asses.
Good. They need to learn that. Some dogs don't learn, though. They just don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's the perfect balance of they get their asses kicked and they respect the bird, but they still want to hunt. It doesn't ruin their drive to hunt, which is always possible when a bird is too hard on dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a problem. But each dog is different, man. Some of them are super stubborn and they could just take a beating and they just do not care, like it doesn't faze them. And then others, they like take it personally and they get all scared and they think they're like a prey item now.
I think that some lines of dogs are a little more, sheepish, a little more timid.
Yeah.
The ones that have the real high drive, I mean, they're just kind of, they're not fazed by that. They're not going to let that ruin their good time.
I've noticed that the males that I've seen that have that way to them, it's usually the males that I don't usually see females that can take a real bad beating and just keep going. It's usually the males for some reason, for what I've seen, just like my anecdotal experience.
You bring up an interesting point. I never really thought about that, but yeah, it seems like the ones that are more apt to take a beating and still be happy-go-lucky are the males.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like males and humans. We just get beaten down every day. We just keep going to work.
That's right. Absolutely. That's what it means to be an American male.
That's right. And Ginger got smoked pretty good 2 or 3 seasons ago by that red tail I was flying. If it was at 1300, 1280, it would just follow along like a champ. If it was 1270 or lower, I would just literally take it out, throw it up, cut Ginger loose, and it would just immediately just stoop like it was a rabbit, just full force and just drill her right in the face.
Wow.
And then the whole hunt was ruined. I remember that bird. It was a secondhand bird from somebody else too. A couple times I had to scoop Ginger up, like running from this red tail, and it's like trying to land on my head to see what I'm hiding. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, dude, I could not wait to cut that bird loose. We had fun though, but it was just...
Was that the Baginator?
The Baginator, yeah. That bird, he caught a lot of stuff. We had a fun season, but it was just like, if it was right on that threshold, like 1275 or whatever it was, I had to just like be like right by Ginger, like ready to like jump in the way. But after it grabbed her once real good, and I had enough, came up from behind it while she's squealing and the bird is grabbing her. I just came up from behind and just grabbed the bird right by its head with my glove. It didn't even see it coming. It didn't even know what happened. I just picked it up by its head. It immediately let go of Ginger and just starts like flailing around trying to foot the glove. And I remember I just walked into this big open field, very slow and deliberate because I was infuriated. And it's just going ballistic. And then I just took it and I decided at the last minute to just launch it straight up in the air. And it just righted itself like 10 feet over my head, 15 feet over my head, flew up to a tree. And after that, it left Ginger alone.
You weren't mad at all, were you?
No, not at all, man. I was super calm. No thoughts of crushing the bird's skull was going through my mind at all. Nothing like that.
No?
Wow. Zero, dude. Keep my composure. I fly goshawks. I can keep my cool. Just ask anybody who's seen me, in the field on a bad day.
Yeah. I can vouch for that.
They'll tell you.
Yeah, I can absolutely vouch for you.
Yeah, I have a really short fuse sometimes.
There's nothing like your hunt getting fucked up,
Yeah, it's annoying. Because after that, and especially with Ginger, and like we were talking about males and females, Ginger is one of those dogs where if she gets drilled like that, she's underneath a bush, underneath the car. It got to the point where I had to take the bells off of all my other birds because I had another goshawk and that red tail at the same time. So I had to take the bells off of both birds because if she just heard the bells, she'd be like PTSD.
Yeah, I think I was hunting with you shortly thereafter that with Teddy.
Yes.
And our other friend, Harrison Dalby.
Down in South Jersey, right?
Yeah.
That was a fun hunt. Not really, actually. I'm lying.
No. It was
tried to,
Teddy's
be
birthday,
positive.
so that was cool. And we got some good barbecue.
Yeah, it was Teddy Marissa's birthday. And like Aaron was saying, Teddy is a very well-known person in the falconry community and the dachshund community and hunting dog community. And it was her birthday, and we were lucky enough we invited her out on her birthday. We said, let's take you out. Let's go hawking. So Aaron drives how far was it, dude? Like 7 hours?
Well, I was up there to visit my wife's family already.
Good point.
So it was a few hours from there, though.
A few hours from there, and then I drove 2.5, 3 hours down from where I live. Harrison lives not that far, and we all met up. And we take Teddy on this hunt. And I don't know do you want to tell the story?
I could probably tell the short version of it.
Oh, maybe that's best. Because I tend to ramble. I see what you're doing there.
I put my birds up. They saw 1 million rabbits. They caught none of them. Harrison put his bird up, saw 1 million rabbits. It caught none of them. Casey put his bird up, saw 1 million rabbits, caught none of them.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, it was. Teddy believes that it maybe had something to do with bad weather front coming in.
Yeah, it was raining while we were hunting, and it was supposed to get worse.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like freezing rain or something, or snow.
Yeah, it was very nasty. It was like one of the days that you don't really want to be in the field, but you're having fun. You're trying to make it work. And I like when it's wet on the ground like that because I feel like the scent sticks a little bit more. But when it's raining, then everything just gets washed away. I feel like I just remember you flying your bird and you didn't catch anything.
Yeah, and when I did it, I was the first one. You were probably like, "Man, what's wrong with his birds?"
No, I didn't say anything like that. I just was like, I'm just like, this guy's flying Harris Hawks. What else can I expect? So that's kind of what that was going through my head. And then I pulled my goshawk out. And I'm like, watch this. The goshawk's going to destroy everything. It was like it could not catch a single thing. Like rabbits running in the open. The birds were just missing, just like a second short, like every bird. And it was, oh God, it was so frustrating. It was infuriating.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
For sure. For sure.
But you know what? The dogs all did their job, just like they almost always do.
Yeah. Yeah, your dogs were great that day. I just remember Ginger was still in a little bit of a weird mental place because every time she got hit, it took her about a week or more to kind of get back in the groove and feel like it's safe again. And I remember that was not too long after she got hit. I think I even said it when we all met up. I said, listen, Ginger got nailed real bad the other day. So, and she did okay, but she was kind of hanging around me more. And it is annoying when you have a dog that's like that, that's a little more sensitive. I mean, at the same time, she'll never run in on a kill. She'll never disrespect the bird. I could call her from, a quarter mile away and she'll come running. She's not that hard-headed, which I like. It's a good thing and a bad thing. She'll go in a hole, she'll come out of the hole and look for me. And if I'm not there, she'll go looking for me, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, not to go off on a tangent, but yeah, she's a little bit more of a sensitive dog.
My favorite dog that I have is a female. And, when you brought that up about them being sensitive, I was like, you know what? She kind of is sensitive too.
Typical woman.
Yeah, typical. Early season with the goshawk, when we were still working out the kinks, I took her out with us, and it was probably the worst day I ever had with that goshawk. She got hit by the goshawk, and then she was hanging out under my feet, and I'm trying to fly the goshawk off the fist. The goshawk was just super pissed off that the dog was right underneath her the whole time. The more the goshawk was coming at her, the more the dog was hanging by my feet.
Right, yeah. Because she's in trouble.
Right. It was the worst flying experience I have had with that goshawk was that particular day, and it was hot. Like I've told you before, early season down here is hot and miserable.
Yeah.
It just was not a good day. We went home with nothing in the bag, and everybody's lucky that we got home alive because I was pretty keyed up that day. We'll just put it that way.
You just wanted to drive off the road full speed with everybody, with all the dogs and birds in the car.
It was one of those where, you want to put your shit kickers on and do some stomping.
And that's right. Yeah, I've been there many times.
Yeah. It's not always flowers when you've got, when you're working with animals, but
yeah,
that's the good times certainly outweigh the bad.
Oh yeah. And normally it's good. I would say 80% of the time it goes smoothly. The dogs are doing their job. They're moving rabbits. The bird may not always catch But the dogs are just, they're trying their best. They're always trying, which is great. So as long as the dogs are trying, the bird is trying. If we don't catch something, I'm still a little like kind of not irritated, but slightly irritated. But it's like when the dogs aren't working or the bird isn't working, that's when I get a little irritated.
That and when the bird is trying and it's not coming together, that really sucks. That just like breaks my heart.
Yeah, you get upset for your bird. Yeah, because I remember my wife would always she's like, why do you go out? As falconers, we just want to see our birds like be successful, and it becomes like this itch in the back of your mind while you're at work. So when you get out there and it doesn't come together and your bird is like kind of like disappointed, or like you can see they're not, they lose a little confidence, especially a young bird. It really it bothers you. You know what I mean? It just bothers you.
Yeah, absolutely kills me. Absolutely kills me.
100%. Okay, so now let's go back, because we went off on a tangent, which is fine, because we want our podcast to be open for discussion and different things, because people may find value in some of our stories and things that they can look out for. But so for a person like Justin, who just picked up his puppy, and he's super gung-ho, so I know he's going to put in a lot of effort. I know you kind of brushed on it a little bit, how you start. And do you want to go into that a little bit more? How you get a fresh puppy, you take the puppy home. What do you do first?
I think the first thing I would do, make sure, hopefully the breeder did this, make sure you're exposing them to rabbit carcasses and rabbit fur, and preferably cottontail, in my opinion. I don't think anything beats a cottontail.
No, 100%.
So expose them to that, let them chew on it, let them play with it. Give them a frozen rabbit head. I like to do that. That's a good teething tool. And it just really reinforces to them that rabbits are something that you want, something you want to find. And then, like Casey said, eventually you want them to kill rabbits.
100%. Now, I will cut in and I will say that if you put a rabbit that is too big for your dog too early, it's the same thing with like entering a young bird. I hate to say it, but it's important that it's not a fair fight. So you want it to be a smaller rabbit that's not going to kick your dog, your young puppy. Aaron, when would you want to start doing stuff like that? Like 6 months?
Can't really I was going to say that's pretty safe, would be 6 months, but it kind of depends on the size of the dog too, because some of these dogs, we'll throw this word around possibly later, is Canetian. Canetian is German for like rabbit, meaning a small dachshund, a very small dachshund.
Okay.
You might have a 6-month-old Canetian that's 3 pounds. And
right.
If you put that thing up against a 4-pound rabbit, that 4-pound rabbit's going to kick its little ass. So you definitely, like to Casey's point, you definitely want to set the dog up for success. You do not want to put the dog up against a rabbit that's just going to kick their ass.
Yeah, because it could backfire on you, and if your dog is timid, like we discussed, it could put a bad taste. They'll get over it. I personally think they'd get over it. You don't want to unnecessarily put your dog in a position that's going to make it, to lose confidence and lose that prey drive, because the prey drive is what's pushing the dogs. The dogs are out there every day trying to find rabbits because they're hoping they can kill one. So that's kind of what you want to instill inside of them. But yeah, so go on. Continue with what you were saying about what your technique is, your method.
Let them kill a rabbit at the right age. And what the right age is, I can't really say for sure, because it's going to depend on the dog. But probably by 6 or 7 months, you could let them kill a rabbit. And then once they've done that a few times and you've done scent drags, you can release rabbits for them to scent. Something that I've got the luxury of doing, Casey has the luxury of doing. One of my favorite things is to catch a wild cottontail with my hawk, trade it off, meaning get the hawk to leave the live cottontail, so I haven't killed the cottontail. Get the hawk to jump off the cottontail. I stick the cottontail inside a pillowcase and I save it for later. Then when we're done hunting, I'll put the hawk up. A lot of times I'll bring puppies with me to hunt, but I don't take them actually out hunting. They're just in the truck in a box. And the hunt's over. I put the adult dogs away. I'll pull the puppies out. I'll let them smell the pillowcase with the rabbit in it. I'll let them get really excited. And then I'll put the rabbit on the ground and let the rabbit run back into the brush, and then let those puppies work that rabbit. Yeah. One thing that's a luxury if you have it is a beagle club. So beagle clubs are big, fenced-in facilities with natural cover and wild cottontails inside of it. The fences are secure enough to where the cottontails can't get out and secure enough to where predators can't get in. So you typically don't need to worry about coyotes or anything like that being in a beagle club. But those places are loaded with rabbits, and if you make nice with guys that run beagles, they might let you bring your dachshund there to let them chase rabbits around at their beagle club.
That's quite
Have you ever been to one, Casey?
I have not. I do not have that luxury.
I have that luxury, actually.
I am jealous.
Yeah, there's a guy down here named Keith who has been the president of a lot of those clubs. He's just a big dog guy in general, and he's got a huge pack of beagles. He's a big-time rabbit hunter. He has his own personal training field, and he's also part of a huge beagle club. The idea is with some of them is you'll exchange work, so you'll come down and help them repair fences or something, and they'll they'll let you bring your dachshunds after that. But he's just a good guy who's been very generous to me and have let me come down.
That's cool. That's quite the luxury for sure.
Yeah, I know beagles aren't just a southern thing, but they are popular down here.
You know, if you ask anybody, the beagle is the ultimate rabbit dog. They just have one shortcoming, and that is that they cannot fit where the dachshunds can. So that's really why we run them. My dogs and the dogs that I've had years ago that are retired now, I mean, they will push a rabbit just like a beagle. They'll push it all the way out and around in a big circle, just like a beagle. They're obviously not running as fast as a beagle. But then when that rabbit goes to ground or goes to a brush pile or some hiding place, they can literally just follow right after it, right into that spot, and then reflush it again to give your bird another slip. So that's why we run them. But yeah, the beagle knows, beagles are rabbit dogs. They're great rabbit dogs. There's a reason why they're so popular, why everybody runs them. But I think
I'll tell you, beagles are, you mentioned shortcomings, like, so they can't, wherever a rabbit can go, a dachshund can go too.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, to Casey's point. The other thing about beagles is they're loud, so they never shut up. And they're also not suited for some of the places that we hawk.
Correct. Yeah.
So a lot of, like, me and Casey hawk similar places, industrial areas, the backsides of housing developments. And so we're able to do that and not bother anybody and catch a couple rabbits. You couldn't take a beagle back there and have the same effect. You'd move a lot of rabbits, but everyone would know you're there. People would be disturbed by your presence. The beagle might run the rabbit across the highway and get hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dachshunds work a lot closer.
Yeah, they work a lot closer, and they're when they open on a hot scent, it sounds like this cute little yipping noise. It doesn't sound like this crazy baying noise, like something's getting killed or something. It's like a completely different sound that doesn't really draw that much attention, which is great.
That being said, if you want to kill a lot of rabbits, get a shotgun and a beagle.
Yeah, but our podcast's new name is the Sporting Chance. So we're here to give our birds the sporting, to give the quarry a sporting chance. So why do that?
Yeah, I don't want to clean that many rabbits.
Not even that. I don't want to pull shot out of these, out of the rabbits. And it's funny because, like, Steve Rinella, every time he refers to Falconry, he's like, "You're just going to catch." Steve Rinella of Meat Eater, for those that are listening, it's the largest hunting podcast. And he has like a gripe with falconers for whatever reason. And he always talks about, "Oh, you're going to eat something that has a bunch of holes poked in it." Like, dude, you're going to eat something that has friggin' 20 shot pellets inside of it that you're going to crack your teeth on? Like, that's so annoying.
Last time I ate a rabbit shot by a shotgun, that's exactly what it was like.
Yeah, that's annoying.
We need to do a whole episode about him.
Yeah, just talking crap until he has a real falconer on. Because it's not that I want to go on. I think somebody needs to go on, like Teddy, or like what's his name out west? That guy, he's pretty well known. The long winger, Chingren. He'd be a good guest. He's well spoken. There's a lot of guys that could go on there and be a good representation for falconers. But yeah, he said it years ago, and I'd love to go back to the episode and find it. he said that he had an interaction with a falconer, and the guy was like extremely arrogant. So now, and as falconers can be, I mean, anybody that knows the falconer, like some of us think we're gods, like we're
No,
like we're damn
crazy talk.
like we're saint whatever that can like speak to the animals. Like some of us think of ourselves in that light, that we're something special. And I mean, most of us just want to go out and catch game and have a good time. And he must have had an experience with the wrong person, and now he's just like, I'm not giving these people the time of day on my platform, which is annoying. You know what I mean? Which is a little bit frustrating.
Well, fuck him.
Oh my God. Okay. So, all right. So now 6 months of age, killing. Now we're kind of graduating to the dogs are coming with us and they're waiting in the truck. I do the exact same thing. They wait in the truck because you don't want to be chasing puppies around. And because also if you introduce a puppy into an actual hunt scenario too early, you can put a bad taste in their mouth where they're just being pushed too hard. Kind of like taking your kids hunting with you and you're dragging them through brush and over logs and they get exhausted and they're cold and they're like, what the hell are we doing here? That can also put a bad taste in any puppy's mouth, any dog, any working dog's mouth if you push him into that scenario too soon. So, like Aaron said, to his point, I bring my puppies to the field. Usually I have one at a time, obviously, but I bring them to the field. I leave them in the truck and they get all excited. They see the older, more mature dog getting excited. And then you're cutting them loose. You're having a good time. And then if you can keep one alive, or even if we don't keep one alive, I almost always get back to the truck and then do a drag through the brush, the same kind of brush we're going to be hunting. And I let the puppy out and get them all excited and put the mature dog away so she doesn't interfere with the situation. And I let the puppy track, and then I let them, eat off of the carcass and have a good time. So after that stage, for me, I usually just start trying to ease them into short hunts where I know it's a smaller spot, it's more open, whatever the case may be, something that's not too taxing on the puppy, and then just kind of let them have fun and explore. Is that similar to what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Taking them on a hunt is risky in the sense that you don't want to expose a puppy to the hawk too early because it's hard enough on a young adult dog to get hit by a hawk. Imagine a puppy.
Yeah.
So if something happens, I mean, the puppy's not going to know any better. A dog will always run in on the kill for the first time.
Correct. Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Any breed, usually.
Yeah. So the puppy runs in on the kill. The goshawk turns and sees a 4-pound dachshund coming at it. I mean, it might decide that dachshund looks like it's better than the rabbit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, or it's going to teach it a serious lesson.
Yeah, or it's just at a minimum, it's just going to whip its little ass. So, you definitely don't want to set that dog up for failure. And then just being exhausted in the field, like they don't have the stamina that an older dog would have.
Yeah.
So I run the Dogtra GPS collars on my dachshunds.
Okay.
In the field. Casey does not.
They're too big, but yeah, go on.
They're too big for him. I wish they were smaller, but we really and truly do not have holes to speak of down here.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's so interesting. So like, not to go off on another tangent because I'm known for my rants and my tangents, but
you're famous for them.
I really am. I listen to myself on podcasts and I just talk nonstop. So when you flush, like they just run around in circles pretty much, and like they don't go to ground that often.
Yeah, just they run around in their circles. And when I say circle, it's not like a tight little predictable circle. It might be a huge circle, and you don't exactly know the shape of it. But the idea is, and when we say rabbits run in circles, rabbits are known to eventually find their way back to where they started.
They almost always run in some sort of a circle and they end up back where they are. That's why beagles are so good, because they'll push out all the way around, and you stand there with your shotgun, and usually the rabbit, because beagles, like we discussed, are so loud, the rabbits running 50, 100 yards in front of those dogs. And a lot of times they just run right past you and you just blast them with the shotgun. So that's the whole point. With the dachshunds, they're a little bit more sneaky. So the rabbits, which is nice because you can panic the rabbit with a more quiet, sneaky dog, and you can really instill more fear into the rabbit. Not that we want to terrorize our rabbits before we kill them, but when something that's not making that much noise slithers up behind them in like an impenetrable brush pile, they get out of there and they're like, "What the heck was that?" And then they just haul it and just run. So that's part of the benefit of dachshunds as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So I went off on a tangent. I lost where I was. Okay, so we're entering a puppy. So we went through the stages that we discussed. You can refer back to what we discussed because most dachshund training is super. It's just super basic. It's a recall, which is extremely important. That'll save your dog's life. That'll save you heartache, save your kids and your wife heartache. So recall is extremely important. That's being done. That's behind the scenes. It's just a constant thing in the house. You're reinforcing it with praise. The dog is coming to you, and then it's playing with different things, playing with the carcass, finding the carcass. And I found with my dogs, carcass drags around the house or at the park just become way too easy because you're dragging the whole carcass along the ground, and it just becomes like this, this super easy scent trail for the dog to find. And the actual carcass drags become like you could drag it for a mile and they're going to find it because it's just such an easy thing to find. So I found that it just gets easy. Then you're switching to live rabbits, letting them run around. Then we're switching to entering them. So that's kind of where we left off, right? So we're kind of entering them. We're beginning to enter them into a hunt. So you may have to sacrifice some time with your birds, some time with your maid dogs. To what I usually do is I just cut my dogs loose, my puppies, or I usually like to do one at a time by itself, and I cut it loose into a really good rabbit area, like usually a smaller spot where I know like this whole hedgerow right here is always filled with rabbits. There's always good rabbits in there. And I just let the dog explore. Is that what you do?
Yeah. I think that's a great way to do it.
Okay.
I know where we went off. We went off on a tangent. I think both of us did, but it was the dog tricolors.
Yes.
So what I was getting at with those is that I can track how many miles my dogs do on a typical hunt with those collars.
Yes.
A good day for them, a good hunt is 8+ miles.
God.
Yeah. I found, because it also tracks you as well when you're running it, is that usually you do about half of what the dogs do.
That makes sense.
So if the dogs have done 8 miles in a hunt, you've done 4. And the 8 miles is way too much for a puppy.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try to keep up with the whole pack, and they're gonna get tired, and then they're gonna panic and wander off, or try to find you, or try to find them, and then end up God knows where, scared, trying to find you, and it just could put a whole bad taste in the dog's mouth. So yeah, I mean that's good data to have. That's something I don't have.
Yeah. And without the holes, I do not find them to be an encumbrance on the dogs. Okay. Now, if I was doing hole work, they're way too big for that. And on the rare occasion when I do send them into a hole down here, I take the collar off and let them go.
That's good. Yeah, I do the same thing.
So, entering the dog. So, you've let your puppy explore, like Casey was saying. You take them somewhere that has a ton of rabbits. One of the cool things is if you've got good recall on your puppy, you can take it places that have a ton of rabbits that you're not able to hunt.
Yeah.
And so you might as well get some use out of it. So maybe you've got like a honey hole behind some apartments, but there's like dangerous power lines or something there that you can't take your hawk to safely. You can let your dogs run there and get practice.
Yep. 100%. That's great.
Yeah. So once you've done that, I mean, like you'd said earlier, Casey, I don't think training dachshunds is too hard.
No.
They're very instinct driven. Their instinct is to scent out prey and to try and kill it.
100%.
And usually the prey is too fast for them to catch. So they're chasing stuff and scenting it and never get the opportunity to kill it. And they're moving it around and they're giving the hawk the opportunity to catch it.
100%. That's like the job description of a dachshund is just keep that thing moving. Don't let it hide anywhere tight. Get it back out. Get it keep running, and just continue to add just the most chances you can for your bird to catch it. That's pretty much it. And I guess it's kind of hard to say when your dog is going to be ready, but I would say you can kind of feel it out when your dog is more mature, filling out, more athletic, is running, it's super hyper, and you kind of feel that this thing, this puppy can keep up with the rest. Then I would start cutting it loose with the pack. I have mixed feelings on that because I've entered them with groups, and then you get the puppy that just follows the older dogs around.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to let them rely on the older dogs. I think they need to go out and make their own stuff happen.
Yeah, I found that myself. You kind of want to just cut them loose in a good spot by themselves and let them kind of develop their own methods of, figuring out where the scent has gone. Because if you go out with guys that run dachshunds, and you could have 6 dachshunds on the ground, you'll see one that's just hauling its butt, like running all over the place. You saw where the rabbit ran, and like this dog is just like running super fast down it. Then it made a left, but it keeps going. Then it realizes there's no more scent. It turns around, it runs back, it tries to find it. Then you have like the dogs, like I know Phil Aaliyah's dog just comes to mind, Zinji. That dog is just like super slow and super methodical, and he just takes his time. His nose is just never comes off the ground, and he just cruises at like this slow pace, and the other dogs are flying past him, and he's just cruising. But he always gets that rabbit back out. They almost all get there at similar times, but you have different personalities. So it's nice to let your dog develop its own personality by not being affected by the other dogs around it, like letting it develop its own personal style. Even falcons are the same way. A peregrine falcon, they'll, some hit with a closed fist, some hit with an open palm, some hit with the hallux. They develop their own, whatever they like to do, they hit it in that way, which is super interesting. So dogs are exactly the same way. So let that dog develop its own style of tracking, let it figure out how to work that track. And another huge thing, I don't know if you want to touch on, with that Teddy always, pushes on us, leave the dog alone. You want to speak more on that?
Yeah, let the dog do its job. Leave it alone.
It's huge.
The talking to your dog in the field, I feel like it's an instinct for us. Good job. Come on, girl. Get it. Come on. Yeah. Good girl. Teddy is a proponent, and in my opinion, if Teddy says something, that's the law of the land.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, do that. Whatever Teddy says, do. Teddy will tell you, don't talk to your dog. Just leave them alone. Let them do their job.
Yet if you know where the rabbit is, like the rabbit ran right past you, and the dog is 50 feet to your left, trying to figure out where it went, it's hard. It's super hard. But sometimes just let the dog figure it out. And it may take 10 minutes, but that dog is going to come right past your feet where the rabbit ran. Eventually, it's going to figure it out.
That rabbit it's either already gone or it's holding tight, So your best bet is just to let the dog find that scent trail on its own and follow it. Sometimes I do say here, and tap a stick on the ground.
Right.
I'm guilty of it. Probably shouldn't do it, but I'm guilty of it.
I'm guilty of it myself, because especially when I'm in a rush, I'm not standing there after that I know where the rabbit ran. I'm not standing there waiting for Ginger across the entire brush pile to figure out that it ran around, cut a left, came over here. So I'm just calling Ginger. And then a lot of guys, we have like a noise that we make with our mouth to tell the dog the scent is there. So what my sponsors and Paul and Phil, and I'm not so sure if Teddy does it, but we make like a noise, and I point my finger on the ground right where I saw the rabbit run, and I go, right here, Ginger, and they stick their nose, and then they catch the scent, and then they're on it, and that's it, and they're just trailing it. So you can do that, later, but you don't want to micromanage the dog, because then the dog just becomes, I don't want to say like a terrier, but then they just become like they're running around, they're trailing, then they're looking at you, they're kind of waiting for you to help. So you don't want the dog to think that it has an easy way out. You want the dog to kind of develop its own style and figure out, okay, this rabbit's, okay, the wind is blowing this way, okay, cut out, cut back in. And then, so you want, especially early on, you want the dog to figure out what happened. You don't want to try to micromanage the dog. And it's a big problem for all of us, because I'm like that too.
Yeah. When I did the Earth Dog trials, my first dachshund, I was trying to run her there. She's a great dog, but she's relying on me and my assurance and my verbal commands. And the Earth Dog trials, you can't talk to the dogs. So she was hamstrung by that. Yeah, she would pop out of the hole and come look to see me for direction. And that would disqualify her when she did that. So
interesting.
And the lady who was judging it afterwards, she told me, she was like, "Yeah, I think your dogs are too keyed in on your commands."
Yeah, see,
it was a little humbling, but I think there was a lot of truth to what she said.
Yeah, but if you were there trying to kill something, your dog would get it out and kill it, just because you were talking to it. But that's the other thing about trials and stuff like that. Like, a trial dog is not necessarily a good hunting dog. It doesn't, just because the dog has all these ribbons doesn't necessarily mean that much. It does, but it's not the end.
It's cool. Let's be honest.
It's cool. It's cool. And I wish Ginger had some ribbons. And I've had dogs in the past that came from, and Ginger's from a line that has multiple ribbons. It's the red letters on the pedigree that we're looking for. And on the pedigree, if it has red letters on the AKC registration, that means it's a field champion. So it's great to get that, especially just knowing that, okay, the dogs we know are good, but here's the actual physical documentation that they're good dogs, is an actual field trial that they competed in and that they won.
Yeah, without word of mouth, we can all speak accolades for each other, and we can say, "Oh yeah, Ginger's a great dog. I'm sure she'll have great pups." Or yeah, Atticus is a beast. I'm sure he's going to have good pups. The trials prove it to some degree, and they're good, but they're not everything. So great hunting dogs are not necessarily good at trialing, and good trialing dogs are not necessarily good at hunting.
Yeah, and even Teddy says that. She says that. She says that all the time. And it doesn't 100% correlate to a good hunting dog. But if you're buying a puppy from somebody that has all, the whole pedigree on both sides of that puppy are all field champions, you know that you're starting from scratch with a puppy that has some good genetics inside of it. So that's a huge plus.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we enter the dogs. Now the dog is mature. They're hunting on their own. And then you would introduce them back to the pack. That's right. Usually that's what I do. I just put them back in with the group and just let them work together. And one dog's working here, the other dog's working there. And if they come together, that usually means that something good's about to happen. That's kind of my experience.
And if you've got multiples, you can change it up. Like I currently have 6 dachshunds. I can't run all 6 at one time, so I change it up,
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of damn dogs. But
I wish.
I don't always, one day it'll be Atticus and Fly, one day it'll be Atticus and Elsie, one day it'll be Arwen and Fly, so I change it up all the time. So usually I think the sweet spot's 2 dogs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
More than that, if you're trying to handle 2 dogs and a hawk, it's just too much of a pain in the ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, it gets crazy, especially if you have a dog that's a hard-headed dog that when they get on that scent, they don't listen and they just see. When these dogs are on a hot scent, man, it's like as if their eyes glaze over and they're just like not even thinking. They're just their nose is feeding them information and they're just going. And you're just screaming and calling them, and the bird already caught it and they're on another one. So if you have like dogs running all over the place, it can definitely get a little stressful trying to get them back. That's why I think an e-collar is very important, especially with dachshunds. It's a very important thing.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. One thing I think we ought to touch on, I mean, there's no way we're going to do an exhaustive dachshund podcast here, which I think we can continue to come back and touch on it.
Yeah.
But it's introducing the hawk to the dog.
That's a good place to go. Yeah. I mean, I've been flying imprint goshawks for a while. So for the last probably 6 or 7 years now. So that's an easy one because they're being raised together and the dog is running around the yard while the bird is being raised, and they're seeing the dog. They're understanding that the dog is not a threat to them. And then eventually they realize that the dog is flushing the rabbit, and the bird is like, "Oh, I know what that is because I've been eating a carcass and grabbing a drag." And so they realize that the dog is helping them pretty quickly. So it's not really, you don't really have to think it through that much. It's kind of just, it happens. You don't even really have to put too much emphasis on it. But I would imagine flying like a chamber goshawk like yours that's coming out of a chamber fresh. Yeah, I'd be interested to know how you introduced the dogs, especially 6 dogs, to that one bird.
I house my goshawk in my bedroom, which is always
That's
which she's on the. I have a closed-in front porch, and now she's living on the front porch. But during the hunting season and the manning process, she lived in my bedroom. So what I would do is I would just bring one dog in at a time and let them run around on the bedroom floor and let the goshawk see them. She was tethered, so she couldn't actually get them. I would feed her with the dogs present.
Okay.
It went fairly well. She doesn't respect the dogs. She never has. She will hit them if she given the opportunity, but she's never tried to kill them.
Yeah, she's just smacking them with her feet to tell them to get lost.
Yeah, just to assert dominance on them.
Yeah, my bird does that too. She's never binding to them.
In the field, after her seeing them in the house so many times, when we went hunting, we just put the dogs down, and there were some hiccups here and there. She definitely hit them more early on. They learned and she learned because they're not used to birds that would hit them.
What, was she ever coming out of a tree to hit them or anything like that?
No.
That you had to work through? Okay.
Never out of a tree. It was only when she was either on the ground or on the glove. And if she missed a rabbit and she was sitting on the ground and a dog approached her, it was a guarantee she was going to beat their little ass.
Yeah.
When that happened, she was taking it out on them.
That's
that rabbit.
That's goshawk.
Blaming them.
Yeah, I think that's just a goshawk. I don't think that's a chamber bird thing. I think it's just any goshawk in general that misses a slip. They're either doing what we call a boomerang. They're coming around to take it out on you, or they're gonna go smack that dog and then fly up in a tree or back to the glove.
I would rather them smack the dog than me.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing. That's you can always have an imprint that behaves well and takes all the aggression out on the dog and not you. A good falconer told me that one time. He goes, I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff because the bird just takes it out on the dog, not me.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
And it's true. So now like a red tail though. So let's go into a red tail because chances are most people listening are flying a red tail. Maybe they're not flying anything. They're just interested in running dachshunds and getting into the sport.
Hopefully it's not Harris Hawks, right?
No, we're not. Yeah, that's not even a subject that's worth the time of my vocal cords. So we're going to go straight to red tails. So what I did, unless you want to start, what your technique is, and getting a dog used to a red tail, like a freshly trapped red tail. What would you do?
My method, very simple. I put the dogs in a puppy pen, like a puppy play pen.
Okay.
Beside a tethered hawk. So the hawk is tethered to a perch. The
freshly trapped, or how long after the trap? Hopping to the fist?
Yeah, after they're manned, right?
Okay.
After the hawk is manned. So after the hawk is tamed down and used to people. Hawk is tethered on a perch right next to a playpen with dogs in it. The hawk is 1 centimeter away from being able to touch the playpen with their talons.
If they baited from the perch.
Yeah, if they jumped off the perch and reached as far as they could, they would be 1 centimeter away from being able to touch the playpen.
So 1 centimeter, not 2?
2 centimeters is way too far.
Okay.
1. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And then I would give the red tail a rabbit head, a frozen rabbit head, and give the dog a frozen rabbit head and let them spend an hour beside each other to the point where they're not worried about the other. They're just worried about chewing on their rabbit head. And the hawk learns, hey, this dog is not trying to take my rabbit head from me.
Okay, that's good.
Easy. That's what I do that several times and then introduce them in the field. And that's that.
That's good. That's good.
How about you? You do anything different?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it's been a while since I, manned down a freshly trapped red tail. But when I was younger, I still ran dachshunds. Been running dachshunds for 18 plus years. Probably before I was a falconer, I was running dachshunds. So what I would do is if I was manning the bird down in a dark room, like the dog was in the room with us from day one. whether she's up on my lap, sitting next to me on the couch, or just on the, in her bed, sleeping right next to us. The dog was always present from the second I took the hood off that bird in that dark room, which you're supposed to train your red tail in a dark room. Okay. Just for everybody listening,
Absolutely.
in a dark room, and you add light with a flashlight and you increase the light as you go. Let's get back to basics here, people. The manning in the middle of the room with 20 people around is not appropriate. So anyway, that's just my personal opinion. But so I would, I'd be in a dark room, like my bedroom. When I was a kid, I'd go up to my bedroom with my red tail. I'd go in the laundry room, and I would, I'd set up a table. I'd have some, meat on my glove, an open carcass on my glove with my red tail. And after a day or two of her sitting hooded, give her a chance to kind of settle down a little bit, then I would just gently pick her up, go into the room, bring the dog in the room with me. I'd sit on a chair. And after the dog kind of like runs around and jumps up and is all excited, she kind of settles down a little bit, I would, strike the braces and slowly take the hood off, and then wiggle my fingers with the meat on my glove, and then let the dog just be in the room. And to be honest with you, the bird, I mean, it's been so long, right? Like I said, but I just remember that the bird would just be staring at the dog with its wings out. Not so much even looking at me that much, just staring at the dog with its wings out, because they recognize what a predator is. So the wings are out. And then when they bent down to finally start eating, it was like they were getting manned by me and the dog. So the dog just became like a second me, basically. And then we'd be in in my yard on the creance, and the dog is just in the yard, milling around, doing her thing. And the bird is just flying to the creance to my glove with the dog there. And then it was just a matter of getting into the field, and the bird never had any interest in the dog, and it just kind of all came together. So that's pretty much what I did. That's pretty much my method.
Yeah, it's simple, isn't it? Sounds simple.
Yeah, I mean, most of falconry is pretty just simple, just getting the bird used to stuff and not overbearing the bird and not overbearing the dogs, and not traumatizing the bird or the dog. That's important. And it seemed to work for me. So that's what I did.
Well, one thing that I'll say is when the bird does hit the dog, most of the time the bird doesn't hold on to the dog.
No.
Most of the time it doesn't. It will on occasion. Like the wild caught Harris hawks I have, they would bind to a dog. And when that happens, the best thing I found to do is to separate the bird and dog and keep going.
And just keep hunting?
Yeah, just keep hunting.
Are you, when you're getting the bird off of the dog, are you grabbing it by the head, or are you just peeling his feet off, or what are you doing?
Yeah, peeling the feet off. Grab him by the head, that's never worked for me. People have said that, but I've never had that actually.
You're not squeezing hard enough.
Yeah, I didn't drive all the way to Arizona, back to North Carolina to crush a Harris hawk's head. So peel the feet off.
Okay.
Harris hawks are tolerant, so I would toss the Harris hawk away, and then stand between me and the dog, or the bird and the dog. I'm in between, and then we just keep going. We just keep hunting. That way the dog learns I can't sulk, I can't be a crybaby, I gotta just get back to it. The bird learns this guy's not putting up with this. The dog is clearly not what we're supposed to be after, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
And just in general in my falconry, when things go wrong, it's best just to calmly continue.
I would say that that's a universal trait to have in falconry. Just stay calm and just continue. That's great. That's good advice. Should make a t-shirt. Stay calm and continue.
Yeah. Maybe the keep calm and carry on. Do you remember those?
Yeah, they're still around. I still see it in my customers' houses, like on the wall.
Oof.
Like stay calm and wash the dishes or something.
Cookie cutter McMansions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'll be signing on to that one.
No, but I like stay calm and continue. That's great.
It doesn't quite sound as good as Teddy's.
Hunt hard, kill swiftly, waste nothing, offer no apologies.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think hers beats mine. Mine's just keep calm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, we want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Sporting Chance podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.